Hello everyone. This is Kim with Abundant Life Tarot, and we are doing 2020's top 10 tarot decks in this video. That's what we are discussing. I have a list right here, and then I have the decks that we'll be discussing. And I am pretty sure I've done flip throughs and hopefully published them all of the flip throughs, or there's one deck that I may have not did a flip through on, but that's because, well, you'll know why in a minute. But anyways, if you are new to my channel, then you will know that this is my favorite time of year in terms of being able to sit back and talk about the decks that I love during 2020. And some of these decks have been in my collection for quite a few years now. And some of them are new to my collection, and they hold a 2020 spot on my top 10 tarot list this year for various reasons. And I'll discuss those reasons as I discuss each deck. So without further ado, let's get started. So the first deck that we're going to discuss is the Slow Tarot. And this is an independently produced deck by Lacey Bryant, and I backed this deck on Kickstarter, I believed, and let's see, it was published in 2019, so I've had it a little while now, but I have used this deck a lot since it came into my collection. It is one of the few independent decks. Oh, let me not say that, because my Oracle independent decks I tend to use more for some reason. Then I tend to baby my independent tarot decks, if I'm to be perfectly honest. I don't know why. Maybe because I know that, maybe intuitively I know that tarot decks might hold a little bit higher value, and that's just the collector in me, but really I don't care as the reader in me. If a deck needs to be used or I'm called to be using it during a reading, then that's the deck I'll use. But right off the bat, I just was drawn to this deck. Here are the backs. I knew I was going to be using this deck for client readings when it first came into my world, so to speak. And yeah, to me it's gorgeous. I mean, it's fine art in little cards here. And the readings that I get from this deck are always on point. It's always just an easy flow of words that come, and I can just look at little different aspects of the card. You know, the Page of Coins is a young girl who's running a lemonade stand, and that definitely, for me, embodies a page of coins, and I love that. Like, she's got that gumption, and she's, you know, she's starting small, but she is doing it, and this was all on her. This was nobody else telling her to start her lemonade stand. She's doing it. It may take her a while to grow the money that she needs to grow, but she will get there. And so I appreciate that. I really appreciate this deck so much. It has weathered many readings. There is some edgy or some chipping on the edges here, and so I've seen where some people have trimmed the edges. I have not. Folks who know me know I'm kind of like a little I'm a punk when it comes to trimming decks, but I like this Four of Cups. It almost feels like the Devil card. I don't know, with this person just kind of like, you want more? Here's the Ace of Cups. And it's not everyone's cup of tea. You know, this art style is not necessarily for everyone, but for me, it works. And also, the creator is from the Bay Area, or where I'm from. And so whenever a creator is from like an area that I'm, you know, close to, so to speak, I always feel like this special tug in my heart with those decks. I don't know why. And here's a little brown book, if you will. It was not a little white book, and actually it is quite comprehensive here. And this was, she gave me the little card of what is it? Certificate of Authenticity. And I was number 553. It was published April 30th, 2019. I won't be giving you all the publishing details because I won't be having that for all the decks. This top 10 is going to be a little different than some of my prior ones for a number of reasons. The first is I needed to hurry up and do my top 10s because I am moving and I need to actually either put my most beloved decks in suitcases to travel close to me, or others that I will be boxing up and mailing. Their books have been kind of separated from them, and the decks don't have their books or their boxes today, so I apologize for that. This one does, because what also I like about the Slow Tarot is how it's contained in this little box here, this little double, what do they call it? I don't know what you want to call it. I'm at a loss for words now. So I have this one, but I don't have the books necessarily for all of them or the boxes. But I've probably done did an unboxing of many, if not all of these decks, so you can always check them out for the full experience of them. Alright, so that was deck number 1, the Slow Tarot. Next up is a near and dear to my heart, the Gaian Tarot. This is the first edition of, this is the Llewellyn edition, and here are the backs. This is Llewellyn like stock, a little thicker than Llewellyn, I guess, and wider than what is now traditionally created, like the decks that are created from Llewellyn. I wanted the Llewellyn version badly. So badly, in fact, that I've been lusting over this deck for a long time that I was just about to pull the trigger for the Schiffer Red Feather edition. I believe it's Red Feather, but I know it's Schiffer for sure, of the Gaian Tarot. And I was like, oh, I really don't want this in glossy form because they're already really big. I didn't want to trim them. And I just happened to finally just check, like I usually do. Every few months I would go on Amazon, I go on all these different sites to see if I could find the first edition. And I did, and I found it for a fabulous price that I haven't seen since. And the lady, I told her too, I found it on Amazon. Here's the bags. I'm all gushing. I think this was last year, 2019, I got this deck. Or was it 2020? It's all a blur now. So I sent her a note saying I have been wanting this deck for so long, so many years, and I wanted this particular version, and I feel so lucky to have it. And then she sent it through the Amazon, which is cool, you know, that they have used sellers. They stopped really having independent, like me, like trying to sell books. For a while I used to sell a lot of my used books on Amazon, but now that's just not a thing. But decks, I guess you can. And then she sent it in this bag, so I just kept it in that bag, and she sent like a little note of thanks and a happy face when she sent the deck in response to my gratitude message that I left in the comments, or something I said to, I don't know how I conveyed it to her, but I just was like, I can't believe it. And it was in impeccable condition. The book was in great condition. The box even, it was those old Llewellyn boxes, if you all know, the kind that's like really foldable and collapsible onto itself. And they're big. They're big, thick boxes, but they very flimsy. So yeah, it was all intact. It was just slightly bent. Nothing. And I love how you see how the comments are kind of the little flares off, kind of infringing on the white space here. I know there's an actual term for that. I'm sure someone will leave it in the comments below what it is, where it's like the artwork kind of escapes the page. And oh, I love it. I just love it. Did they do it here? This is the only one where I don't really see where that's actually, The fire one, oh no, the fire one here has the kitten, the cat's little tail. So anyways, this is the Gaian Tarot. It is still available on Schiffer if you want to get the deck. It's just bigger, it's glossy, and I just wasn't really feeling that at all. But the creator is Joanne Powell Colbert, I believe it is. She is the artist for the Herbcrafter's Tarot, which, yeah, that deck did not make my 2020 top decks. And the only reason why is because I don't really use it like that. I'm studying with it. I'm learning with it. I'm going to resume the study group probably once I get settled into my new place. But I'm just, yeah, the Herbcrafter's Tarot is one I want to work with more before I say it's a top 10, 20, 21 deck, for example. These decks that I'm mentioning today are ones that I actually work with, or worked with extensively through the year, or work with every year at a certain time. So that's why they made it to this particular list. Don't worry, I have other videos of top 2020 decks, so be sure to check them out. But this is a particular focus on decks that I have used throughout the year. They could have been new to my collection, they could have been old, but I've just fell in love with them and been using them ever since they've hit the collection. So there's that. I know, I keep beating a dead horse. Next up is the Light Sears Tarot. I'm going to show you both. So here is the, I'm not going to take it out of, well, maybe I might show you a few cards. Here is the Light Sears Tarot independent version that I backed on Kickstarter. I backed this at the same time, or I backed it and also got the Muse Tarot as well with it. So I have that one as well. And I have the original Ten of Swords. I won't bore you all with the details about it. The deck creator is Chris and Donnelly. And, you know, you can always check out my other videos about the Light Sears Tarot. There, I have quite a few. I love it so much. And it is quite special to me. My husband was like, you have multiple versions of that deck. And I do and I don't. Okay, so I have the independent version, right? Look how thick and chunky it is. And then I have this one. I gave one to my son. I have this one. And I bought a spare backup one because I don't want to be without it. And the Hay House one is kind of challenging to use because actually, and this might please some people, it's super thick. It's very thick. I like the size of it though. I like that Hay House is not afraid now to use a more traditional tarot size in their tarot decks that they're starting to crank out. Not all the time, but in most cases. And I appreciated that. And I appreciated that they did the mass market. Because if they were going to be glossy somethings like at some of the other publishing houses, I would have been a little sad. And so here is the little guy book, you know, of the Light Sears Tarot. And I'm not going to go through a bunch of cards here, only because I've talked about this deck all the time in my favorites videos, which is now called Month in Reviews. I just talked about it extensively, so I'm not going to bore you guys with it. Many of you already have this deck. You already love it like I do. Some of you don't have this deck and don't love it at all. I've seen that also in the Facebook group comments, or, you know, some people just comment on my video like they don't really resonate with that. And that's what's wonderful about this time in life, right? Is that we have so many decks to choose from. The moment I got the independent version, here is some of the cards. The moment that I got the independent, and there's green edging, oh my god, I just fell in love with it, and I was using it for client readings, I found, and then using it for readings for myself. And then once the mass market one through Hay House came out, I then started using the mass market, and I put this one away. And there were times where I'm like, is it ridiculous of me to have this copy when I am using the mass market all the time? And then I just decided, no, I just want to keep it for now. And it's special to me. Even looking at it now, I'm starting to get all these feels for, like, okay, in the new year, I think I'm going to switch after I bought a backup copy of the indie. I think when we open more up after everything that's going on in the world, after things start to get to a place where we can maybe start doing readings, I won't be close up to people like we once were before. I'll use my mass market, and then for my readings online, my virtual readings, I can use my indie version, because I'm kind of picky about the indies going out in the world. The indies need to stay with me. So that's just me. So yeah, that's the White Sears Tarot. Next up, we have the Hoodoo Tarot. This one is where I don't have the box or the book. I did do an unboxing of this deck, so definitely check that out. I have it in a lovely little tarot wrap. And it is something that I consulted for readings for myself primarily. I think this deck just spoke to me to be a deck that is exclusive for me to work with. I have started to explore different aspects of my spirituality this year, and going deeper into my ancestors' spirituality, and that's been facilitated by this deck. And I adore it. I've talked about it a lot in my favorites videos this year. I wanted it for a while. I pre-ordered it when I saw that it was created, and I'm so happy that it's in my collection. And it will be traveling close to me as one of my decks that is going to travel with me when I move, because again, it is the deck that I use to kind of have conversations with spirit, but more so conversations with my ancestors. And wow, highly potent readings, ones that bring me to tears. So it's just like, it's so amazing. I love it. Here's the backs. It's the South. And you can do reversals with it. That is the American and, United States, southern states here in the shit. There's Florida, for example, and Texas. And so, I want to save time. Oh, look at this. Look at Father Sims. Temperance. So yeah, I am hooked to this deck. You guys have to know I'm hooked to this deck. And I don't really use it for client readings. I'm not opposed to using it for client readings, but actually, I'll be honest, if I'm ever called to use it for client readings, it will be probably a situation where I maybe consider getting a deck just for clients and then just having this one for me, because I don't know, it's now kind of taken on not a life of its own. I don't want to say all that, but it has taken on this way of how I use it in my spiritual practice, that I really don't want other people's energies all up in it. You know what I mean? But I love how it's benefited my spiritual growth and my spiritual path so much that I think it would be very helpful for my clients. So we'll see how that goes for me in 2021. So that is the Hoodoo Tarot. Okay, so next up after the Hoodoo Tarot, we have one that is, so let me tell you, I've talked about a few here. The Slow Tarot is independently produced The light Sears is mass market, and it was independently produced. I don't think it is at this time. I think the mass market is the only way you can get the light Sears tarot. You can pick up the Gaian tarot through Red Feather or Schiffer, mass market. And so I've talked, and then the Hoodoo is also mass market. Although it sells out quickly as soon as the publisher, which is a smaller publisher, it sells out quickly after they make a print run, I'm finding, because I wanted to get a deck for clients. But then my ancestors were like, chill out, still work with us one-on-one, and then we'll let you know when you need to do all that. So I was like, okay. All right, next deck is, this is, pull it out here. It's in this cute little tarot pouch. It is the Smith-Waite Borderless. And this is the one that I mentioned that I did not do a flip through of. And that is because I don't think I had the Centennial before I really started the channel. So there's a few decks I realized later that I didn't do unboxings for that were in my collection. And that's because they came before I really started like, oh, I want to do an unboxing. Here's the backs. But so I had the Centennial for a long time, but I saw other people use the Borderless, and I was like, I think that's going to speak to me more. And so then I was like, it does. And I held on to the Centennial for a long time because it was like, oh, it's one of my first decks. I don't want to let it go. But after a while, I was like, it's a little ridiculous. I mean, so I know that people can hold on to the Rider-Waite-Smith decks, and then eventually they become worth something because as time goes on, the edition, it starts to gain value. But I was like, I don't know if I care that much. Here's the sun. The sun looks glorious in Borderless, in the Borderless version. And I just love the coloring of the Centennial in the US Games Borderless edition. Just was like a natural no-brainer for me. And I just love the darker color of the greenish, like aquamarine-ish looking color. I don't know. Teal. I don't know what this is. Jade. I don't know. But it was a deck that I used a lot. I felt a little guilty getting it because I have so many Smith-Waite inspired decks. And I did have the Centennial, and I just was like, I don't want to have a bunch of the same decks in my collection. I just really don't. But after I started using the Borderless, I fell in love with this deck. Like, fell in love with the Smith-Waite in an all over new way again. So if you found it to be a struggle to use the other decks that have borders, definitely check out a borderless edition of the Smith-Waite or Rider-Waite-Smith or whatever you wish to call it, because that may work a little bit better, or you can trim your decks that you already have. But I'm either too busy, too lazy, or just too scary to trim the deck. So this worked for me. Okay, so now we're moving to, and that one obviously is US Games, and that is mass market. The next one though is independently produced, and that is the Afro Tarot by Jessie Jumanji. And I am in love. I'm in love. Love, love, love. Sorry, I'm going to bring my mic over here a little closer so you guys can hear me. I'm going to scoot a little closer. So, I don't know. This deck, the moment I got it into my collection, it was like, it just works so well for me. It just does. The readings are always just so fluid. Like, I don't have to struggle with the messages. And I struggled in the past with getting tribal decks because I'm like, first of all, I'm not tribal. I know that my ancestors are, but sometimes I just want to see me or see people like me in in more recent times, and not even modern times, but just like in the last, like, I don't know, century or so. Like I just had a certain feeling about it, but this one I was like immediately drawn to, and it's just gorgeous. I love her way with collage art to me. Like, I like her style. I love the feel of this deck. It shuffles like a dream. It riffle shuffles and overhand shuffles like a dream. I see some of my peoples in it. She had different representations of different tribes, people in this deck. And so, you know, I really appreciated that as well. Like the Hermit. I love this. I feel immersed in this moment with the Hermit. Like I'm having a Hermit moment with this Hermit. 8 of Wands. So I won't keep going here because I definitely did an unboxing. I'm definitely loving on this deck. This is one of the decks that I also use for client readings from time to time. Look at the gold gilding that never chips. Here's the backs. Oh my god. So yeah, I love this deck. It is one of the ones that I use frequently. It actually, I believe, was in my videos of my 2020 top 15 workhorse decks. I have a basket of decks that I keep on hand for various types of readings, and this is the one, or this is one of them, I should say, that is in that basket. So it also has this little guide, little fold out booklet, which, you know, works. It's, some people want a full-on guidebook. After a while, for me, and now that I'm moving, this is a-okay with me. I don't, you know, unless you're going to be writing something super profound and deep, or discussing your process of how you came about each card's art depiction, or your messages, or what have you, or what inspired you, or any other divine messages that you have associated with the cards, etc. Yeah, I don't know if we need all these books. That's just me. That's just me. So that's the Afro Tarot. Hold on. Yeah, the Afro Tarot. Love it so much. All right, we're moving along. So the next one I've had in my collection a long time, and I only use it like once a year, and it's for my New Year's readings. That is the Spirit Within Tarot by Stephen Bright. And I use it sometimes from time to time. I'm sometimes called to pull it down for client readings. They're usually, the times that I use this is for my New Year's readings, though. It just, for some reason, it just clicks something in my head, and I'm able to like see things in the cards. And look at this. So here's the backs. This is a Schiffer deck. So this is a mass market produced deck. It's Red Feather, actually. Red Feather is a subsidiary of Schiffer. So you can get this deck, I believe. That's the backs. And it is the glossy stuff. And I've beat these, I beat them up. I beat the edges up. Let me see when he published this. When was this published? 2017. So I've had it for a while. And it has a great guidebook. Okay. It's like modern art style. It's just, it's actually amazing, this deck. Really and truly. And it will always probably be in my collection. Oh, and I need to take a sip of my beverage. Okay. Look at this. So this was cool because a lot of people were like, I could use this as a means of being able to not necessarily add diversity, but not necessarily have to focus on the race issue, or like a race, or the lack thereof of a race. We don't even have to worry about that with this deck. So some people really appreciate it. And I forgot the name of this particular art style. This is a particular art style that's depicted here, but I forgot. I adore this deck. This is the King of Cups. And even being glossy, I don't have a problem overhand shuffling it. And what I do, because it's kind of a thick deck, I shuffle it in two parts, like when I want to riffle shuffle it. And it's fine. Yes, the gloss is the gloss is starting to lift up. You probably can see it there. But other than that, I don't really have a problem with it. So, and I've got it ever since it came out in 2017. So it's been just fine ever since in terms of usability. Oh my gosh, I got a tickle in my throat. So that is the Spirit Within Tarot. And I say this often about this deck. I don't talk about it until probably November, December, January, maybe even February, when I'm doing New Year's readings. And then after that, people probably don't hear much about it because I'm not always called to use it other than that time period of the year for some strange reason. But every now and then I'll pull it down, and it gives the best readings, predictive readings. So I don't know. I think it's a great deck, and I don't think people should sleep on it. It's a good one to add to the collection if you can. I don't know if it's in print or not. You know, it's kind of hard to know in 2020 what's in print, what's not. Probably as things get back to normal, printing will be a little bit more regular, but you know, just be patient. So don't feel like if I'm talking about decks, especially mass market decks in this video that are right now at the time not in print, check back in a few months. I check back often to those decks, and then I find, oh, I see that the publisher has added, they restocked, they re-upped. Amazon got some, but then they sell it quickly because they're popular. Like the Hoodoo Tarot is a deck that comes to mind. So don't be discouraged, okay? And that's why I sometimes talk about out-of-print decks on my channel. I don't really shirk away from it because I know that there are times when some out-of-print decks will come back into print. So there's that. All right, so now we are moving on to an independently produced deck, This My Hurt Tarot. And this is by Isabella Rotman. And oh my gosh, I was just impressed by this deck. On Kickstarter, you can open myself. And I knew, you know, those certain decks you just know, like, this is going to be one I can really work with. And I did. I do. I use it for client readings. I've banged up the gilding, you can see. So I use this deck. This is one of those few independently produced decks in my collection that I use on the regular. I enjoy it so much. Here's the Ace of Cups. Of course, I did an unboxing. Here's the back before I go much further. Reversible. She was just so impressive. I think she even got the decks out early, even, like, and just super communicative. Like, Kim plays that the word communicative throughout the whole Kickstarter campaign, and the artwork is just divine, just freaking divine. The coloring, just beautiful. I'm really into colors in my decks, and I like a more modern aesthetic when it comes to decks. I do have some, well, you'll see. I have a couple of decks that are like, oh, that's not really a modern deck, but this one I really enjoy. And I know, like, I'll use this deck for clients who are older, much older than me, and much younger than me. I think that it is universal, that it can be used across all kind of, you know, gender associations or identities, sexual identities, racial, backgrounds and whatnot, and nationalities and ethnicities. And that, I appreciate that in this deck. And I did use it quite a bit this year in my readings. It was one of the top 5 decks that I kind of rotated. The Light Sears being number 1. This Might Hurt. This one being another. And then also actually in the Slow Tarot being another. These are actually some of my working decks, to be honest, in the Afro Tarot. So when I'm telling you that these are my top decks, these are my top decks. And I'm going to be doing a top 10 Oracle decks video, so definitely check that out. Stay tuned for that. It's a tower, because I'll be doing that probably even, I might record that tonight as well if I have time. I have a client reading I need to acknowledge. You know, a tarot reader's work is never done. Never done. It's always like, I've got an email to respond to. I've got a reading to wrap up. I've got, well, if you do video readings, I've now started doing both a mix of video and live sessions. And so then I got to make, you know, confirm the booking or make sure, you know, we have our appointed time set. Okay, I digress. That was the This Might Hurt Tarot, and that one is one of my faves for sure. Okay, this one, the next 2 are the ones that are newest to my collection, and they just wowed me, just absolutely wowed me. The first one of the 2, and then this is going to be what concludes the video, is the Uncommon Tarot by Shaheen Miro. This is a mass market deck, guys. So this is a deck, I forgot who's the publisher. I'm never going to find it easily on here. Wiser Books. So I was just blown away by the quality of this little deck. And again, thank you for having everything self-contained in the box. And a little box at that. So you got the back. I started buying a few of these from my friends. I was like, because I knew that the printing issues that were happening in 2020 and then the shipping issues were happening now. I'm recording this at the end of, like, before Christmas. It's just a lot of shipping delays. And so I just was like, oh no, I have to get these over to my friends so they can enjoy them. Because I don't know when they are going to be able to enjoy them. And I want them to partake like I am. It's decadent images. Here is the gilding. I've been using these a lot. Sometimes I've used this deck for a couple of my client readings. I haven't had a chance to really get to know it as well as I would want to, you know, in order to use it for client readings. But for my readings for myself, because I want to infuse my energies with it, the readings have been spot on and the images are gorgeous. Here are the backs. I'm not going to lie. I'm not necessarily a fan of the blue backs. I don't know why. I don't know why. And some days I'm like, oh, they're fine. They're beautiful. It's good. And other days I'm like, no. So here is 3 of Coins. Eight of Swords. I'm pretty sure I published this unboxing, so definitely check it out. But if not, if you're like, Kim, you said you published an unboxing of it, did you not? Just send me a message, because I usually, with new decks, I try to record an unboxing, and it may take me a long time to publish it to YouTube. So just send me a quick like a comment or a message or something or what have you, if you're really itching for an unboxing from me. Like if you don't see that other people really talked about a deck, then I may have it. I just haven't put it up yet. I haven't published it. It's just sitting unlisted, waiting. I'm trying to get it in focus so you can see what that is. This is Death. You all know I'm into collage decks. Clearly, it's one of my favorite art styles in decks. So this one This feels so luxurious and rich for a mass market deck. Look at this. That is the Five of Swords. So yeah, I am just head over heels in love with it. I've been using it nonstop for readings for myself. I keep it near my bed. And eventually I think I will start really incorporating it into client readings next year. But here's Awakening or Judgment. But we'll see. We'll see. Oh, one more. Ace of Coins. So there is the Uncommon Tarot. And it's even got a little yellow ribbon. And the guidebook is also really good. You know, don't underestimate small guidebooks, guys, because let me tell you, oftentimes they pack just what you need, and sometimes a lot more information than what you will find or expect to find in such a small book. Like Three of Swords, keywords, pain, sorrow, betrayal, broken heart, general theme, a time of painful loss and trauma, your heart is broken, betrayal cuts deep, recovery takes time, let yourself convalesce. Disappointment can bring growth and understanding. And the creator also has a reversal section as well. I won't read that for time's sake. But, yeah, this is a good deck. Okay? This is a good deck. Not good. It's great because I've been using it a lot this year in 2020 for my personal readings for myself. So, there you go. All right, and then last but certainly not least, I'll show you, because I don't have the box available right now, I'll show you the book, The True Heart Intuitive Tarot by Rachel True. First of all, I actually had gone through quite a few, I think, did I finish it? No. I got through the majors. I was trying to kind of go through the guidebook because I just love it. I love it, love it, love it. It's really good. This is a mass market deck. I just adore it so much. Again, and once I knew that this deck was being created and coming off into the universe, I'm an Instagram follower of Rachel True's, so I knew early on in the creation that she was making a deck. So I just patiently waited, and then she produced it, and I got it, and I've just been loving it since. So between the Uncommon Tarot and this deck and the Gaian Tarot, these are the decks that I primarily use for my readings, for my personal readings for myself this year. And, and the Hoodoo Tarot. The Hoodoo Tarot as well. The rest are pretty much client-friendly reading, or client-friendly reading decks. Here's the backs of the True Heart. Okay. Here's the Chariot. Strength. High Priestess. This is one of the most badass death cards I've ever seen. Look at this. Oh my god. Just adore it so much. Six of Discs. I desire strongly to use this deck in client readings. I've just primarily, though, I've been using it for readings for myself, just to get to know it a little bit better. And it's really new in my collection. And like I said, I really like to vet my decks before they hit the, hit the runway. No, I'm just kidding. Before they strut their stuff, though, before I work with clients with the particular deck, I want to make sure that I'm very familiar with the deck, that it almost feels like second nature when I'm using it. I think that's super important in, professional client readings, when you're reading for others in a professional capacity. So you could be new to tarot reading for others, but the biggest advice I would give to you is to make sure you have your home skillet deck, your deck that you use faithfully. And it's okay to have a collection of decks. I do. But the deck that you use for your client readings, you want your deck to start to pick up on your energies. I believe in that. I know not everybody does. But also, you want to get very familiar with that deck, the meanings of it, you know, and then also what's exciting about it is that there is oftentimes I will still pick up some nuanced little detail that I didn't notice before, but that's because my awareness shifts for client to client depending on what questions they ask and what I need to kind of pick up on clues from the cards. So you want to be very familiar. So that's all. That's just a little tip of the day, if you will, or tip of the night, because actually I have my pajama pants on right now. I just thought I'd share that little bit of information with you. Don't know why, just thought I would. Anyways, guys, you know how much I love doing these videos. This is my top 10 2020 tarot decks. There was a mix of mass market, of independently produced decks, and I had a little something for everyone. And I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please hit the like button, and if you haven't already done so, please subscribe, because let me tell you, there's more where this came from. In fact, I'm probably going to try to crank out the Oracle version of this video, and we'll see how far I get. I don't know. We'll see what time it is. I might have time. All right, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Sending you all so much love. I'm recording this December 14th. So happy holidays. And I want to wish you all a very happy new year. Take care. Bye.